Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to make best use of this character, Lycaon, in Zenless Zone 0. To be honest, he's one of my favorite characters in the game. I really loved him since CBT 1, and now I'm going to be actually sharing with you some of the interesting gimmicks about this character. Not too difficult. Let's start first things off with the combat mechanics that I want you to know about. He is focused on stunning enemies. So you see this gauge here, he is very excellent at bringing the gauge up to make the enemy daze. So one thing to note, if you just spam auto attacks, for example, this button here, if you're on mobile, this basic attack button, if you just like randomly press it, you're actually only going to get physical damage. How do you proc his eyes on every single hit is you need to slow down his attacks. So hold your basic attack. If you hold this button once, he has this first combo leg. So hold down once and then press again and hold down again for this second combo leg. So first combo leg again, 1, 2, 3. Let's ignore this part here because the enemy is dazed. So 1, 2, 3, and then the final one, 1, 2, 3. So he has a 3-part combo for his basic attack, and they are all ice damage based. And the reason why this is very important, some of you are wondering, EOD, is it very, very important to actually run this combo for him? Yes, it is very, very strong. So if you look at the damage multiplier, for this is the one with physical, charge attack damage multiplier is the one with ice. So damage is increased for almost every single hit. You can see here 90, 154, 4th hit combo multiplier 235, and then the charge is way higher. So it takes a slightly longer time, but the damage multiplier is ridiculously high. It's so much higher. But of course the daze here, first hit is lesser, but as you go on, the daze also increases and increases. In net totality, you actually do a lot more daze if you do the charge multiplier. Plus, it also deals ice damage, which helps you build up the anomaly that you're looking for usually ice-based team. So that is probably like the most hardest thing about this character out of all of them. The most difficult nuance in his overall kit. Remember, it's just hold it down, hold your basic attack down. There's this button here if you're playing on mobile. And for those of you who don't know, another special thing about this character is his EX special attack. So you have to wait for it to be this colored up, and then you hold it down. So once you cast it, what it actually does is it rest shreds the enemy. So he has two ways of proccing his rest shred, and that is under the core ability here. You can go to the core skill. You don't have to have 2 ice characters or Victoria Housekeeping, it automatically procs, but it shreds ice damage resistance by 25% on the enemy for a whopping 30 seconds when you use an EX special attack. That is definitely going to have almost 100% uptime as long as you're rotating into Lycaon every now and then when the enemy is stunned or not stunned. This is very insane. It helps your main DPS do like tons of damage. Other than that, if you charge his basic attacks to completion, which means you fully charge and finish the full combo as we saw, everything ice, you actually deal a lot more days, which helps you build up the stagger much quicker as well. If you play with another ice character in the same team or another Victoria Housekeeping, Lycaon can actually become a bit of a damage dealer as well, as when Lycaon hits a stun enemy, the stun damage multiplier is increased by 35%, which is very nice because it's a damage multiplier increase, turning him into a pseudo DPS, a sub DPS if you will, to give him some value even though when the enemy is also stunned as well. So that is pretty much the hard parts about Lycaon. Quite straightforward character to play. Now let's talk about build guides, which is thankfully also not super difficult. Let's first things first start off with what gear do I recommend you put on him. So I have already a build that's going on, but let me share with you here real quick. My recommendation is for the early to mid game and even later part of the game is running a Shockstar Disco, and you are going to ideally go for a 4-piece Shockstar Disco. Unless you are running a double stun in your comp for some reason, then perhaps you can change Lycaon into a DPS. But for like majority, 80% of people out there, if you're playing Lycaon focused on stun, you want the impact percentage. You want the daze that you inflict on the enemy because he does a lot of basic attack, dash attacks, dodge counters. He's going to be on field most of the time when the enemy is not down or not dazed yet. So 4-piece Shockstar Disco is ideal. And for the most part, all of his attacks can be ice, which is why I actually recommend a 2-piece ice damage bonus. Since you can actually charge out every single skill, he probably in a well-played, in the hands of a good player, Lycaon will never do physical damage most of the time as well, because you can dodge and everything's going to be ice. So I think you get a lot more value out of ice damage bonus compared to other stuff like, for example, attack percentage and energy recharge and stuff like that. Crit is also another alternative that can work. It's very generic, quite useful as well. But that 10% ice damage bonus definitely outperforms quite a lot especially since crit can be easily obtained from substats later on as you approach 10 to infinity. But I think Woodpecker Electro as a 2-piece for the early game is quite possible just to get a little bit more crit rate up on a particular character too. So as for substats, what am I looking for? I'm looking for anything with attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage. These are things that I'll look for. Pen, all very, very useful. And for the main stats for the positions 6, 5, and 4, for position 6, I'm looking for impact percentage. That is definitely for sure. It helps you hit that daze, that stagger much quicker. For 5, what I'll be looking for is ice damage bonus here. I think it's pretty solid for him. And 4th, what I probably will be looking for is crit rate here, so that you can get that crit rate up. Stun characters don't have too much crit rate in terms of the gears, the W engines that they have, and their overall kit. As you can see, let me just go into the character screen real quick. You can see that DPS characters, for example like Nekomata, get a lot of crit rate from their AC and E cores, whereas a stun character like Lycaon actually doesn't get all that crit rate. So impact, you can see AC and E over here all only give impact, flat impact, which is why it's actually quite nice to actually give him crit rate in terms of the gear that you have. For skill level, I think he's a character that wants to build throughout. The only exception is maybe you don't need the ultimate as much, but the chain attack does benefit from this as well. So I would say he's a character that wants to build all. If you're thinking which ones to start off with, probably basic attack and special attack, since those are the two things that he probably uses the most and contributes a bit to damage, most damage if you are really running low on resources as well. Don't forget to level up these core skill enhancements because they do quite a lot of daze increase and also gives him a lot more base stats of impact, attack, and whatever not. For equipment here, I am personally running a 4-piece Shockstar Disco, 2-piece ice damage bonus as mentioned, and what I'm running is currently just the free sets that I get, and I'm running impact percentage. I'm running HP because I can't find like the ice damage bonus one yet, and last but not least, I'm running attack percentage because I can't find a crit rate or crit damage one in this early to mid game cycle as well. So next up is the W engine. What exactly do you want to put on him? Lycaon has actually quite a lot of options, and I really like this one a lot. So because they have a lot of free to play stuff, let's go into the gadget store where they actually have a database of seeing everything. And if you're finding value in this video so far, let me know what other characters you want to see next, and I'll put that as priority. Otherwise, leave us a like and subscribe for more of such future content as we go through the roster of characters to learn about too. So I'm going to just go directly to A and S gear because these are probably the ones that most people will focus on, since Precious Fossilized Core is actually free. This one here is probably the go-to for most people. First thing, it gives you good amounts of base attack, 40 base attack. Impact 6% is very nice. Stun characters want to daze the enemies quicker, so the substats of impact percentage is ideal. I usually would want to look for something like that. When the target's HP is lower, you actually do less daze, you have this less daze multiplier, but at full HP the daze is very, very high. I don't think this is super detrimental because it allows you to proc the daze much quicker on squishy monsters, especially since Lycaon will be the one that engages the enemy first before like your other attack characters like Alan and etc. come in later on. So that is why I think this is not too bad for him. Against bosses, yes, it does deteriorate because when the boss is less than 50%, you don't no longer get this maximum amount of days. But this is free, you can craft it in the shop as long as you do your weeklies and get a little bit lucky. It's not too bad. The other free-to-play one is Steam Oven. This one gives you energy regeneration rate, which is much more versatile for future characters and decent because you keep the uptime on the ice resistance shred with Lycaon. But the 30 seconds is actually quite long, so I don't think energy regeneration is really needed on Lycaon. I generally find that he uses his EX special attack much more often than that 30 seconds anyway. But still, every 10 energy accumulated increases impact by 2%, stacking up to 8 times. After energy is consumed, bonus remains for a while longer. This is decent as well, but I much rather that impact percentage that comes from this thick broth effect might as well just come from this advanced stats, and she doesn't really need the energy restoration anyway. So that is my opinion for that. Damara battery gives electric damage, which is not very ideal. You much rather put it on another character, for example like Ambi Damara. But you can also use it if you don't have any gear. This is impact percentage still, and when you dodge, counter or assist attack, you get slight some slight energy regeneration. So if you do not have Pressure Fossilized Core, you don't want to get it because you're building others, Damara Battery Mark II is also a decent alternative given that it has slightly higher stats, base attack too. But note that it's much better on Unbeat Damara for the electric damage bonus. 6 shooter, this I believe is the Battle Pass one. It's very nice, it gives you impact percentage. Equiper gains 1 stack every 3 seconds, so total of 18 seconds you get the max amount of stacks, and you have inflict higher amounts of days by 4% per stack. So a total of 24% extra days, which is pretty decent, but I won't, as we talked about in our W Engine Battle Pass guide, I don't think it's very urgent because as you can see, the other free-to-play ones are quite good too. The 2S rank ones, the one that is better is the Restrain for Lycaon. Both of them have good stats, 46, 46, and 7.2 impact percentage. This one, when an attack hits an enemy, damage and days from basic attack increases by 6% for 8 times, stacking up to 5 times. Most of his damage is actually backloaded because a lot of the ending of his cycle does a lot more damage, which is very nice, so you can actually stack the full things towards the end of his full combo rotation. At least you get a bit more damage buff towards the end. That's why this is actually pretty good, the Restrain for Lycaon. Hellfire Gears is a decent alternative also. If you pull it, you get very, very high amounts of base attack and much better scaling for impact percentage, which is what stun characters really want because they do some damage too. While off field, energy regen increases 0.6 per second, which is significant. And when you use an EX special attack, which Lycaon always wants to use to get the Ice Rest Shred, impact is increased by 10% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. Duration for each stack is calculated separately as well. This is also pretty decent. I think Hellfire Gears is quite good for a quick swap Lycaon. Let's say your other character is also a stun, or the other character is like Nekomata, very, very fast, doesn't really need the enemy to be down or stunned. You could see some value out of a quick swap Lycaon too. But yeah, those are my thoughts for the 6 W engines that we are going for. And next up, let's talk about some basic team compositions for Lycaon. Who do I think forms very well with him? He is a character that of course wants to play the ice teams because of his ice rest shred, a lot of stun that he does. And Alan is obviously his best partner. And if you want to know like more team compositions or how he differs from other characters like Ambi Damara or for example Koleda, you can check out our team composition videos on both of these characters. I think you'll find it tons of help. And if you found this video helpful, let me know which other character that you want to see build guides on, and I'll be happy to share it with you and I'll put it up in priority. And guys, again, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.